Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Why If Dizzy TV. It's been a little bit of a hiatus, been some changes, been some career changes as well, and I will update you on that a little bit later. But as of right now, the man of the hour, my good friend here, we got James Goodwin with me. What's going on, man?
What's going on?
Well, first of all, tell the people who you are and where you come from.
Man, I'm just a young guy trying to make it, I guess. I've dabbled into everything. I've worked in every single fast food chain you can think of, just trying to, my dad always told me, you're going to find your niche one day.
Yeah.
But that's why he never gave up on me, He's like, one day you'll find your niche. And
Yeah.
Sure enough, by 25, I found my niche, and that's customizing vehicles, and that's just what I love. I've been selling stuff all my life. So, elementary school, I don't know if you know this, but back in elementary school, we had this problem where all the kids from pre-K to sixth grade would go to lunch at the same time. And it got to the point where kids weren't even able to eat because kids would go back in line to go buy ice cream, go do this, go get this. And then kids were still in line. What? And so they had to change the rules. Like, hey, once you leave the line, you can't go. You have to buy your ice cream now. You have to get your ketchup and all that. And my dad would never get me, any money to buy an ice cream. And I always wanted an ice cream. So as any fat kid would want that,
Yeah.
And so what I did was I ended up coming up with this thing, everybody would forget their condiments. Yeah. So I would grab a handful of each condiment, and then I would sell them 2 for $0.25.
Damn.
And an ice cream was $1.50.
Yeah.
I'd come up with it every day. So, your fat boy got an ice cream every day.
Yeah.
And then, those little fingerboard tech decks?
Yeah.
So I used to get those and sell them. And then the little, I don't remember what they're called, but they're like little bean boozle things. So you'd throw it on there and it always lands upright. Had a little character face. I'd sell those too. And one day I came home with $10, I want to say, and my dad thought I was bullying some kid.
He said, "Who you get this money from?"
Yeah, he was like, "Where'd you get this money? You're in 4th grade. What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, I sold some ketchup. I sold some tech decks and all this, and he's just wondering how is this 4th grader going to school with no money and coming back with $10?
Yeah.
And so he took me up to the principal. My dad's an honest guy, so and he's a man of his word. His name is everything, and that's one of the values I inherited from him. So my name is everything. But he ends up taking me to the school because a lot of people question, why would he take you up to the school to the principal's office? Because he just doesn't want his name to be tarnished, and he wants to correct me in the wrong at a young age.
Yeah, he doesn't want you to keep on that path if you are bullying somebody.
Exactly. And I'm thankful for that. So yeah.
Damn. So it kind of leads into the next question I had is, how did you become a managing partner of a company at 24?
So long story short, customizing vehicles was always something I always loved. I always followed people on Instagram. I was just always involved in some sort of a way. I just loved it, right? And I didn't have no money to put into it. So I was pipelining. I come from the oil field. I was pipelining. I ended up, there was this, I'm not going to say names because I don't give people the credit when I'm not getting anything from it. Yeah. Because this might end up getting millions of views, and now they just got a promotion. You ain't getting paid, are you? So It's just not fair. So there was this kid that had made a page posting explicit stuff of the pipeline way of life, and I was like, man, no one's doing that. So
what you mean explicit stuff?
Like the pipeline lifestyle.
What is that lifestyle?
Drinking, drugs, and partying all night. And then going back to work the next day.
Ain't that a party and sausage party though?
No. They always did it. At the bars, and then they had their fun and whatnot. Which, I was in the pipeline life. So what I did was I started doing the same thing, as far as, but I did it in a creative way because that wasn't the lifestyle I had ever chose. I was never a big drinker or anything like that. Back in high school, I partied a lot. I mean, I missed a lot of school my senior year. And I don't know how I didn't get truancy, bro. I'll be straightforward. I missed like half the year, 76, 74 days.
Damn.
Yeah, I don't know how. But sure enough, everything worked out. But I partied a lot, but I never was a drinker. Like, I just went to socialize. Like, you know, getting to know me, you know, I'm an open book. Like, I just like talking to people, meeting new people. You know, you never know who you're going to run into. And so long story short, I was like, instead of doing it the way he does it, where he's involved, I'm gonna have people send me their stuff. And so next thing you know, I have you, then I have Danny, then I have a Joe Blow, Joe Schmo, like sending me stuff. And then now I'm gaining followers off of that. Well, I made it like a full-time job. I was doing shout out for shout out, and I'm not gonna explain how people, how that works. But for those who know, that is the easiest way to grow your platform on Snapchat.
Yeah.
The only problem with that is you don't know who you're
shouting out.
Yeah, no, you don't know. Well, not only that, but you also don't have a clue of the following you're getting. So like, now I'm in customizations. I might not have had anybody that was interested in that, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so it's like it's different. But so that's what I did. Well, I ended up growing it. I would spend an hour and a half, 2 hours up early every morning, and then I would just constantly be on Snapchat. I would post everybody's stuff and then add everybody and then send it back, and then I would do it again after work. So in 3 months, I went from like, I want to say like 300, 400 people on my personal. And where I messed up, and I'll say this in the beginning, is I started it with my personal Snapchat. So I had people on there that didn't want to see that type of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And it ended up getting banned. But in 3 months, I had grown it from like 400 followers to about 17 to 20,000.
Damn.
Yeah, I grew it
That's some growth.
quick, and I was getting views on views. Well, I know. So going back to the subject of how I got on, the owners of that company, I was friends, and I'm not gonna shout out them. They don't deserve it. You know the situation. They've tried suing me already, but long story short, I've known their cousin. You know, shout out to him if he ever sees it. You know, I still got love for him, but life's a two-way street at the end of the day, and I just feel like if I feel like I'm going down the road by myself, eventually I got to turn off and not go down that road anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
But I knew his cousin, the owner of this company's cousin, for years. We were really close. I'd never met the owner. Didn't have a clue who he was. Well, one day I just happened to be pipelining in his area.
Yeah.
And I bought some wheels and tires and whatnot, or I was buying some wheels and tires, and I needed lug nuts off Marketplace. So I called this shop, and I'm like, yo, hey, do you have any lug nuts? And he was like, yeah, it's like $200. And I was like, bro, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So I called the owner's cousin, and I'm like, yo, like, do you know the guys over here at this location? Because I need some lug nuts. He was like, oh, that was you that just called. And I was like, wait, are you there? And he was like, yeah. I was like, I'll see you tonight. So I go over there. I ended up getting a stupid deal from him and his brother. Shout out to him and his brother. Like, mad love for them. Always will. No negative against them. But at the end of the day, things happen for a reason. So I end up, I want to say after that, I end up staying more in touch with them because we had a long talk on that night of like how it would be cool for me to become a managing partner.
Yeah.
And I was like, and at that time they didn't, and a lot of people are going to disagree with the way they do this, but I agree with it. And it's just, I think you're going to agree with it too because it's the old way and it proves loyalty. They wouldn't pay you for a year.
Damn.
You had to work full time, 6 to 7 days a week, 365 for a year without a single dollar given to you.
What?
But the amount of money you were making was dumb.
Once you did the year.
Yeah, but I got paid. So I ended up joining later on. So I had told him like it would be a dream of mine to come do this. But I unfortunately cannot do that. I have to have money coming in. I have bills. And so he understood. And what's crazy is, so I ended up staying more in touch with him and whatnot. And then he ended up posting his cousin, the owner. And I was like, yo, who's that? And he's like, oh, he's the owner of the company. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I add him. I never said nothing to him. I add him. Keep in mind, I had already had that thing going. So, like, this was right after I'm still hardcore pushing the Snapchat.
Yeah.
And so I'm pushing it. Well, then I buy wheels and tires from this company, and I shout him out. Well, he messages me on Snapchat. We're just talking. He has no idea that I know who he is. Now, I didn't know how big this company was. I didn't know how much money these people had. I had no idea any of it. I just knew their cousin, right? And if I could get paid to customize vehicles, come on, like that's sick.
Yeah, that's
So-
super dope.
So what I ended up doing was taking advantage of that opportunity, and I don't know why, but I was just like, hey, we should do a sponsorship. And he was like, we can think about it and whatnot. And I just was just straightforward. And I was like, I don't want to, you're going to get lost in my Snapchat feed. Like, it's either a now or not. Like, I sent him screenshots of, you know, the views I'm getting and what he can expect. And sure enough, he was like, okay, let's meet. And or he didn't say let's meet. He was like, okay, cool. I was like, let's do a lift kit, wheels and tires. And he was like, okay. And in my head, after he agreed, I was like, why would I do wheels and tires? Like, I just like, hey, just refund me my money on these, you know? Like, I just bought these today.
Yeah.
So like while they're putting them, still finishing the job, I'm talking to him about all this. Well, I end up telling him like, hey, I want to meet you. Like, now that it's done, like, we're gonna go through with this. I want to meet you, because at the end of the day, people are vindictive and they're gonna end up going back on their word, especially someone I don't know. And so it's like, I don't want to have your lift kit, wheels and tires on my truck, and the next thing you know, you say, oh, you owe me $6,000, $10,000. It's like, no, I'm good. I don't want any part of that.
Yeah.
So I go to meet him and whatnot. Well, then I tell him I know his cousin, and so he invites his cousin. So then what happens is I end up going to his shop. He's there. We're kicking it for a little bit, for like an hour and a half. Well, then his cousin shows up. Well, then he's like, hey, let's go to a hookah lounge. I'm like, all right, cool. So we'll go to the hookah lounge. And his cousin's next to me. He's right across. Again, keep in mind, I have no idea how rich this guy is or how big this company is. And so he's like, hey, and I will go into depth on the conversation. He's like, he asked his cousin, he's like, hey, he had no idea who I was, or that I had a passion for this stuff, or that I knew anything about it. He was just genuinely asking his cousin for his opinion. He's like, hey, who do you think the best air ride lift kit is? Or no, his cousin asked him that. And so now that I think back on it, I think he set it up. I think he knew what he was doing when he asked that question, because he knew I'm an open book, I'll speak. And the guy had said any level, and then I looked at him and I was like, no, you're wrong. And he's like, who is this kid telling me I'm wrong, right? I mean, he's posting pipeline content and he's telling me I don't know how to run my multi-million-dollar business.
Yeah.
And he's like, why do you think it's wrong? I was like, well, he asked for an air ride lift, and any level doesn't have air unless you get the helper bag. And at that time, this was like 6 years ago. So I don't believe that there was any helper bags at that time. There might have been. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but they're still new. And so what happened was, he's like, so what does that mean? I'm like, well, it's a hydraulically ran system. It has nothing to do with air. If we're going based off of his question was air ride suspension. I was like, so technically it's up to 2 if you want to go, and then any level doesn't ship to anyone. Like you only have, like, I think at the time, like 6 licensed installers in the nation. Like, that's how new they were. But he was so careful on like who he would allow to install his kits. So he ends up asking me, well, then who is it? And I was like, well, if you're going show style, it's going to be Ultimate Air Ride. If you're going just basic, not as expensive and bougie, then you're going to go to Kelderman. Both full air ride management systems. And so then he starts speaking in Arabic to his cousin and was like, hey, this kid really might know his stuff, and what do you think about him? And his cousin was like, hey, he's from the oil field, like, he'll work hard, like, he's a go-getter, like, I think, we might be able to do something with him if you can make the right offer. And so then he looked at me and he goes, you'd be pretty good at this. You want a job? You want your own store? And I was like, what do you mean? And then his cousin like nudged me and he was like, he's asking if you want to eat at the dinner table. And I'm like, what do you mean?
He's like, what that mean?
I'm confused. Like, and he's like, I'm asking you if you want to come train and then have your own store.
Yeah.
And run your own store. And I was like respectfully, I'm gonna have to, think about that, because like I didn't come here for a job offer. I came here to just get, free stuff, and shout you out like as a business trade. And he was like, well, let me know. And I was like, you gotta understand, like I got a $60,000 rig out there. I went to college for this, and no shout out there. That was the dumbest thing I've probably ever done in my life, was going to college out there for welding. But 3 days later, I ended up giving him a text and said, yeah, after a lot of talking and whatnot, I talked to my baby mama, or my son's mother. For those of you out there,
mom,
for those of you out there, baby mamas are drama. The mother of my son, she's not drama. She's great.
She's chill.
She's super chill. But yeah, we get along. She understands it. It's for our kid at the end of the day. It's nothing to do with us. So I'm blessed with that. That I'm not ran through the court system, and my son's not enjoying life. Like we're good. But so she gave me the green light. I was single, doing my own thing, and then me and my dad talked about it, and then of course my uncle had to interject, but we ain't gonna say nothing about that. But sure enough, it ended up working out really well. Like it gave me the ability to know like what my full potential was. At 24 years old, 3 months into it, going out there and training people, and it's like I thought I was being trained, because when I went out there, he was like, hey, when you go out there, what happens is you're gonna go out there, you're gonna show these people what their store can make. And then when you leave, if they do not hold up to that, then they're going to get let go. And it's like, okay, so now I'm trying to teach these people how to make more money. And he's like, yes. And I'm like, bro, I'm 3 months in. I thought I was still getting trained, bro. Like, what happened to a whole year? So I get trained for a year, right? But I'm still traveling. But, I mean, it was good. It was great. I think everybody should be able to experience that. But, I'm blessed to say that at the end of the day, my true passion can make a lot of money, and that's a big blessing.
Yeah, that's what most people struggle to do. Like, find something that makes you money, and at the same time, you love it. You wake up and you're excited to do it. But with a job like that, it's a lot of responsibilities. What are some of the struggles that comes with being in a role like that?
For me, it would more so be the anger, because coming from the oil field, and I'm not a fighter, so I'm not gonna sit here on camera and be like, oh, I'm Billy, bad to the bone, and I'm not that guy. I'm one of those. I don't like to fight, because when I fight, it's a imagine a light switch. It's like it's either fight or flight, and I will never flight. I don't dip, right? But I will try and be grown about it. I will try and like calm down and talk to you about it. But eventually, it comes to that point where okay, now that switch is flipped completely, and there's no more talking. Like there isn't any more talking, and then I black out.
Yeah.
And my problem is, I'm 6'1", 255, so I'm not a small guy, but I've been told my whole life that like I may not be the most accurate puncher, but when I do land, I hit hard.
Yeah.
And my problem is when I black out, I don't know that I'll stop.
Yeah, that's a lot of weight behind them hands.
I'm saying, I can't believe you did that on the podcast, calling me fat.
No, I'm saying that's some strength. That's some strength. You know what I'm saying?
But yeah, I mean, it's coming from the oil field. I mean, back to the question. I mean, coming from the oil field, I'm not a fighter, but at the end of the day, like I'll handle my own. And in the oil field, it's me and you got a problem. We go outside of the location and handle our business. And at the end of the day, we go right back to work. Yeah. And if the business isn't handled after work, we handle our business some more. And either you squash the business or you're going to continue to have problems. Yeah. And so going into a professional establishment, even though it wasn't the most professional at all, it's definitely one of those hard to convert, I guess, transition.
Mannerisms.
Yeah, because it's like now I have to watch what I say, what I wear, how I act, because in public, my name is attached to that company. So every person that I piss off or I look dumb or ignorant to may not ever come to my shop now.
Yeah.
But every person that I look highly to or respects me a little bit more, they don't even know me, I do a nice gesture, they can come to my shop. And
You're
guess
like,
what? I make money off of each one of those people.
yeah, like, damn, I want to come buy from that guy. You know?
Exactly. But I would say also the biggest thing for me is what made it, I would say, in my opinion, what made it so successful was the ability to just be true. Like, I'm not faking when I say, like, it was a home environment. And I was told that by so many customers. Now, I'm a changed man, and you know this. I'm a changed man, glory to God. But
yeah, we'll get into that a little bit later.
But I used to cuss.
Yeah.
I was not the most professional. I didn't act the most professional. But at the end of the day, I was a human. I wasn't a robot. Like, you go to some of these establishments, and it's like, I'm not even interested in giving you my money because...
Like, I can see the facade when I'm talking to you. Just talk to me like a regular person. I know that's not how you speak.
Yeah, and it's like, look, if you're not interested in spending $4,000, what are you interested in? You know, I have a budget for everybody, you know, like, and at the end of the day, I'm not one of those people. I've never been one of those people, but especially now, you know, changing and getting into my faith, I've never been one to sit there and just, I'm going to ruin your life because I want to make another couple grand.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. Then I won't sleep right like that. And I feel like people could see that through me. And so I feel like that was a big reason why my shop was so successful. I mean,
they're going to get the value that they're paying for.
Exactly. And I also did stuff that some of these other shops, I mean, you know who the company was, but I don't know where your audience is from. I don't know how far out it reaches, but I mean, they're pretty well, I would say 7 or 8 states. But at the end of the day, not all of them are going to treat you the right way. And that's why they're different. And that's the one thing, which I'm sure one of your questions will be, you know, what the future holds. And that's one of the things that's going to change.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that was later on. But since we're already here, what do you see for the next 5 years for yourself?
The next 5 years, man, I don't know. Obviously, I would say with this new business adventure, I truly think I'm with the right people, people that are truly loyal, people that have the same ethics, even though there's different religions involved.
Yeah.
They're still morally the same, right? We don't want to screw people. We just want to be successful, right?
You just want to sell a lot.
We just want to sell you, and we just want to sell a lot of what we sell. And the price is going to be the same at any of our shops, not like the other businesses. And it's not even just my old company. Most of them are like that. Like, you can't go to each one and have the same price. And it's like, that's not okay. Like, if I come in there and I'm like, hey, my buddy David, he just bought this, and then you give me, and then I call you and you're like, I paid like $1,000 less. And it's like, bro, what?
Yeah.
Like, there's too much inconsistency, and I don't like that, which my partners, they don't like it either. But in 5 years, man, I don't know. I mean, a lot's changed. I mean, if you would have asked me that a few years ago, I don't know. I'd say I'd want to be married, but I'd probably realistically 2 years ago would have been like, I just want a Lambo, a big ass truck, and a nice house. Like, I didn't really care about the nicest house, but you know.
And as you say that, you know, when I was younger, that's what I used to put on my dream boards too. I used to put like the fancy house with the Lambo or the McLaren up there. But then as you get older, like, you know, it'll be cool to have one, but that's not really what life is about. Once you have those things, like, then what? You know what I'm saying?
And so if you ask a lot of the millionaires, it's like, once you hit like 10 million, it's kind of like, it's just another number. It's just another decimal. Like, at the end of the day, like, 10 million, you can do anything you want. Like, after a year of having a Lambo, it's like, it's just another car.
Yeah,
like,
it's just a car I got to pay high insurance on.
Exactly. And it would be, it's one of those things, like, I've had the nicest, one of the nicest trucks, I would say. I've had a full-blown, almost SEMA truck, you know? Like, I didn't do some of the stuff because things happened, and in the time frame I was in, didn't get to happen, and I didn't want to half-ass it. And it's just unfortunate scenes, but I've had nice cars. I've had nice trucks, and look, at the end of the day, people can say, oh, point A to point B. that's the reality of it, bro. Like, dude, I'm cool driving a Toyota Corolla that smokes. I don't care. Get me to where I need to go so I can make my money. Like, I'll go buy another one, you know? And having the cool stuff is like, I feel like it really just brings more envy out of people. And people are gonna hate you, and they're like, "Oh, it must be nice." It's like, dude, you didn't see the struggle. You didn't see the BS that I had to, like, on my truck. So just to get a little bit open, on my last truck, my SEMA truck, I lost $92,000 on that truck. Yeah. So like I spent 160 something K on that truck after, like, that's including the truck plus all the add-ons. But that's not just like, oh, the final product. That was like through I did like 11 sets of wheels on one truck, you know, like 18 sets of tires. Like, I was just constantly changing stuff, like 4 systems. And I mean, it came to the point, the only reason I sold it is because I couldn't do nothing else to it. I'd literally done everything to it. Built motor, built training, polished drive shaft, 12-inch custom lift, 30s, 40s. Like, I've done it all. And when I sold it, I owed, instead of being smart and listening to someone I should have listened to, they were like, pay it off and build it. What did I do? I built it. And I didn't pay, and I still owed and never paid it off. So when I sold it with a custom fab 12-inch lift, 28 by 16s and 40s, polished drive shaft, built motor, built tranny, $20,000 audio system. I owed 55.7.
Oh my!
I got 55.8. I made $100, and it came with all that. So that was the point of when it was like, I will never build another one. I will buy a built one. That whole mindset of, especially these kids nowadays, oh, it's bought, not built. Yeah, because I'm smart. Financially, I'm not an idiot anymore. Like, I'm gonna let you make that financial decision, and then I'll
buy it.
I'll buy it, and I'll gain off of your ignorance. So
You'll buy low.
It is what it is, and you got to keep in mind that was with me at my shop. So that wasn't even. I don't remember if I did the math retail or what, but I mean, I still lost a lot. And
imagine
even with the dealers,
retail.
I don't know if I did it retail. I want to say that was retail pricing. I'll be straightforward. I mean, but even then, I still lost 45 grand. Damn. At least, yeah, it was insane.
Damn, that's somebody's monthly salary. I mean, yearly salary right there.
100%, and it stings. Yeah.
Damn. Well, you touched on it a little bit ago. You said you recently got married.
Yeah, so I got married September 19th through the courthouse, and then we had our wedding December 1st. Met through that company, actually, through one of my business partners. Yeah. He's now one of my business partners. But he was one of the ones he was the one I traveled with. After 3 months, I started traveling with him, and he became really close to me. And his wife became pretty close to me as well, and she became like a sister. He's like my brother. I mean, they're family till the day I die. And he hired her as his receptionist, and you know, his wife would go up there and see him every now and again. And she owned a vending machine, so and she put it at his shop, obviously the smart way. And it was just a little side hustle, really just to give her something to do. And she was like, oh, hey, do you think he's cute? And she was like, yeah. And then she asked me, I was like, hey, do you think she's cute? And I'm like, yeah. And then it was blind date. And then we went to a movie. I forget the movie we saw. But it was, and you might remember
it. Wasn't too much movie watching going on.
No. It wasn't nothing like that. Nothing like that. So it was about kids being trafficked. Oh, I forget what it's called.
Yeah, I know. Because
someone had asked me about the movie the other day, and I don't remember what it was. But
oh damn, that's a tough movie to watch,
dude. And some of it was based in her country. So she's from Honduras. So she's third world, so it's really changed me a lot. And so we ended up going on a date, and I knew there was, you know, it's cliche of everybody to say, oh, for love at first sight and whatnot, or like I just know. And there was a point, like, I got nervous, and you know me, I don't get nervous. Like, I just don't care, right? Except for in the manager meetings and whatnot when we're doing all that. But So I get nervous. Well, then I finally I kind of just put my hand on her thigh. Nothing in her thigh or anything like that. I just put it there, just to see where it's going. And she's vibing.
Yeah, outside knee.
Yeah, and she wrapped her arm around it like this and leaned up against it, and I was like, immediately filled me with butterflies. Like not even the sound, like whatever. I'm still a man at the end of the day. Like, bro, it was like, I was like, man. This is the one. Like, I've never felt this in my life. Keep in mind, this is our first date. I'd never even touched her, never hugged her. And so after that, I knew she was the one. But my old ways just kept getting in the way. And, I hate to say it, but I would not focus on her. And I would kind of like push her away. And then I'd focus on my old ways and then bring her back. And then and then go back. And it was just back and forth. And eventually I was just like, I keep coming back because I don't ever go back. I keep coming back to this one. And then I remembered that feeling and I was like, she's the one. Like, she's the one. And then, long story short, now we're married. She introduced me to God and, I'm a full-blown Christian now. I done got baptized and everything else, all thanks to her. And life's just really changed. And I think that's one of the reasons why me, you, and Danny got so close is, mainly through God, but also because we're just three younger, not young like you think we are. We ain't that young.
Yeah, but we little young, you know what I'm saying?
But I think that's one of the things. We're just three young guys that, follow Christ heavily. And at the end of the day, we all three want the most out of life. We want to do whatever it is.
In the right way.
In the right way. We want to do it. So, I don't know.
So, what is since you got closer to the guy, what is a change that you've noticed in yourself from before to after? Because
I'm so much more emotional. I've let out more emotions. I've shed more tears. Just yesterday, I was crying my eyes out in the closet. There's this movie, and I hope anyone that's watching can watch the movie. It's called War Room, and it's long story short, you can just look it up. It's I'm pretty sure she's a preacher, but she's a black preacher, and amazing preacher, and amazing movies, multiple movies actually. But it's about, I believe, I just remember the main thing is the war room and why the war room was important. So I'm not gonna spill it and whatnot, but at the end of the day, pretty sure her husband was cheating on her or about to cheat on her, and she just wanted to. She ended up falling full blown into praying and did war room and which is a closet, and it doesn't have to be a closet. It could literally be your studio. It could be your car. It could be anywhere that's just quiet, silence, and you're not going to be distracted. And for me, something I have an attention span of a squirrel. So,
that is true.
So it's one of my flaws. Yeah. But I ended up going into the closet, and it's just one of those things. That's where you go to war. You give everything out because at the end of the day, the demon does not want you to let it out. The demon wants to keep it in you so he can continue to attack you. Yeah. And so, in my opinion, this is, and I feel like everybody's going to have a different opinion. I feel like that's why it's called the war room. It's because I'm going to war with the demon because I'm giving it to God. I'm taking it from him and I'm giving it to God. And so that, I did that last night, and so I'm definitely more emotional. I've gone through a lot of stuff in life. I wouldn't say I had a bad upbringing or anything like that. Like I was raised rough or nothing, man. I was fed with a silver spoon. My dad always raised me that if I needed it, I got it. If I wanted, I better work for it. And I think that's where I got my hard work ethic from. And so I had a pretty solid upbringing, but I would say I've been to more funerals than most people will ever attend in their life. And there was one here recently that was just a customer. So going back to my shop and why I was so successful, I think you were, I don't remember. I know you were still there, obviously, at the work, but it really messed me up. I've cried multiple times over it, and I still have his paper in my obituary in my windshield. Yeah. that was what made me successful at my shop, was because it wasn't just a home environment. It wasn't just me making money. It was me being family. Like, hey, look, I'm here to take care of you. You got a problem, I got you.
Yeah.
But going back to the God situation, like, I don't know. I mean, I'm emotional. I give it all to Him. I literally, I pray every day. Every day. So me and my wife, we've always had a pretty solid relationship, right? Now we have our problems. Don't get me wrong, right? We all have our problems. But the thing that helped us the moment I did it was we had a fight. And I'm not going to get into it. I don't even remember what it was for, because all I remember is what's happened now since. We had a fight. She left. I let her go to cool down and whatnot. And I just got upset, and I went to the war room. She walks in of the war room, and I didn't know. And as soon as she touched me, I just let it all out again. And I literally looked her in her eyes as a man and a husband and a son of God. I said, I want to be a better son of God. I want to follow Him more. I need your help in pushing me to be better, because I can't do it alone. And I'm telling you that. And ever since then, I told her straight up, I want to pray every morning, and then I want to pray with you. And so ever since then, we pray. We get on our hands and knees, and we lean over the bed and we pray. We have our separate prayers, and then we sit crisscross applesauce, and we hold each other, and we pray for each other. And I do not miss that. I will literally be late for work. I will get fired from work before I miss my prayer, because that's more important. And that thing has fixed so much. But the power of prayer is so real, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, even when you have like people praying for you, whether it's your grandmas, you feel that protection, or like your partner, for example. My wife, whenever we have certain things that we're dealing with, whenever she prays for me with the things I'm dealing with, I feel like the problem is not as hard. Even if I don't know, like I'm dealing with it and she tells me, hey, I was praying for you today about this. And I'm like, wow, that actually, like, it was easier. Or whether she's praying for me to do good at work, or whether it always helps just her prayer towards me, or, praying together.
100%. Like Danny. So I remember I was on the phone with Danny the other day, and I was like, hey, what could I be better at? And he was like, controlling your emotions. And I feel like getting with God has brought out my emotions more. Now, the emotions I'm saying that I know he's talking about, and I know you can contest, isn't anything to do with God. As far as like what he's brought out of me. He's brought out the good emotions, the letting stuff go, forgiving it, whatnot. And he ends up telling me, not your forgiveness, but your emotions, because I get mad. I get mad pretty quickly, and I hate that. But so I'm like, all right, cool, and I'm stuck on it. I'm like, what? I'm not understanding. So then I go to work the next day. Then I have church the next day, and after church, he calls me and he's like, hey, do you have a second? I'm like, yeah. And so he tells me, hey, I was talking about your emotions and whatnot, and I prayed for you the other night. And God told me this morning that it's forgiveness. You gotta forgive. And I'm like, what do you mean by that? And he's like, you just gotta forgive. You gotta learn. You gotta figure that out. And I'm like, okay. So the last 4 days, I was stuck on it. I was like, I just don't understand that. Like, I'm confused on that now.
Yeah.
And then shout out to Apostle Phil.
Yeah.
Apostle Phil, man, and Mr. Phil Owens. Shout out to him. He ends up having his words of wisdom on Wednesdays, and it was about forgiveness.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's not a coincidence. That's not odds. That is God talking to me.
Yeah.
And I don't know who else he was talking to in that chat, but I know he was talking to me. Yeah. And there's a reason why Apostle Phil didn't just do a 30-minute.
Yeah.
He did 54 minutes.
Yeah, he did an hour. I was like, dang, he's on a roll.
He was on it, man. And man, shout out to him. But another shout out real quick is to my pastor Marvin, because I gotta give him a shout out, because when I came to that church, when my wife brought me into that church, I came specifically just to please her, nothing to do with God.
Yeah.
And I end up going, and I'm tatted up, leg, sleeve, and everything. And so I'm like, man, like they're gonna judge me so hard, and I don't want to be judged in a negative way because I know my pure heart. Like I got a good heart. I'm a good person, and so I end up going, and I didn't feel a single ounce of judgment. Every person there gave me a hug. So what happened? I went the next day voluntarily, made her world, and then I hugged the pastor again for the second time, and it brought tears to my eyes. He filled me with almost the same feeling I got whenever my wife grabbed my arm that night at the first date, and it was different. It was feelings like I got full of emotion, feelings from her, but in a different way. I got full like, this is my pastor. Like that's my guy. He is full of God, and it's a Spanish church because my wife's Spanish, and so I get translated to. And so he ends up telling her like, hey, like you should tell him to. This was months later. He said, hey, you should take him to an English church so he can understand better. Like as the words being said, and I told her no, like that's my pastor, and she told him that, and he ended up like telling that as a testimony, and I was like, wow, like that's crazy. So I just wanted to give a shout out to him because that's my pastor. But
yeah, it's crazy that you was going through that because the whole situation with me happened Tuesday, and then Pastor Phil he talks on Wednesday, and
so it was talking to you too.
It was talking to me too. I was like, damn.
What'd you take from it?
Just not to stew in something that you could forgive the person without having to
be friendly.
Yeah, be friendly. That's
like
what he said.
You can be what is it? You can be friendly, but we ain't friends.
Yeah, we're not friends.
I won't forget it.
Yeah, I'm not.
But I'll forgive you.
Yeah, I'll forgive you because if I don't, I'm just hurting myself.
Exactly. So you gotta just give it to God.
Yeah, and he did just preach. He preached for an hour. I was playing out loud. My wife was listening too. She was like, "Yeah, he has God in him."
100%. He's a good man. Like I'm gonna definitely miss him whenever that goes.
The person that I'm saying that I had to forgive, I started thinking about what we were saying is, maybe he went through some things too that has changed him into this type of person. Maybe he's the kid who was bullied as young and then became the police officer. So now, now he bullies.
Which happens a lot. It happens so much. And my take on that. I don't think it is. I think he's a good person. I just think that the industry is negative. Yeah. I think it's a very evil industry that we were just in, and
that's why I'm out, and you're getting out pretty soon too.
100%. And blessings.
Danny got out as well.
Yeah, Danny got out.
Which there's good people in the industry. Don't get me wrong, because I still have buddies who's going to be doing that.
T's got your keys.
T's got your keys.
Great
shout
person.
out to Chris. They go about it the right way, but there is just the abundance of it is just not good.
Yeah, nah, and that's the problem. I think he was around too many of the abundance and. Not enough of the good people, because you got to understand, like, I'm not going to throw my super personal business out there, but you know what I'm getting paid this month. And it's like, you can make money even doing good stuff. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I proved that to myself at my shop. And then I just proved it again. So it's like, by doing good doesn't mean you're not going to make as much. I didn't make as much as Chris, but I wasn't far off. Now, he's been doing it a lot longer. He's got that pipeline built. So, and that's a big thing in that industry. Like, you got to have a pipeline. You got to have a flow.
And shout out to Chris, because I was actually going to quit even earlier, like 2-3 months in. He was like, man, I could tell you like me. You don't want to do people wrong. But if you just work your pay plan and you sell a lot of units, you can still make money too. You don't have to break people over the head every car deal. You can just
get a couple that are okay with it, that like genuinely want the product.
Yeah, you want the product? Cool. I'll sell it to you.
I'll give it to you. But I always told them, you don't need this, and this if you already got this. So like, but these are the ones I would highly recommend. Like, do they add value?
Yeah, and then that way you get to go to sleep at night, and you know what I'm saying?
I won't miss sleep. I'm not gonna feel like I did something wrong by God. Yeah. Because I woke up this morning. I did my 3-mile walk and a little bit of jogging. Got to throw that in there, you know what I'm saying?
Stepping it up a little bit.
You got to throw in the jog. Yeah. And one of the things that was said was, you don't worry about people's opinion. I'm going to do right by God only. And as long as I'm going right by God, I don't care about the others. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, Judgment Day is coming. And when that day comes, as long as I know every day I lived it for him, then I'm good. I don't have to worry about anybody else because they ain't the ones judging. Yeah. So I definitely wanted to throw that in there because that really hit me. That one was like, I've always been like, I don't care about other people's opinion, and everybody's like, well, you should, and then you get something that are like, you shouldn't, and now it's like, I don't.
Yeah, you don't.
I do, but I don't. Like, am I gonna dress up like a slob?
Oh
No. But at the end of the day, I don't care about Joe Schmo's opinion because at the end of the day, he doesn't judge me on Judgment Day.
Yeah.
He's not the ultimate factor. So,
what is the best advice that anybody has given you?
Lord, you'd hit me with that one. Oh, man. Let's hear yours first. Let me get some thinking in.
Yeah, I wasn't ready for a response on this one. So I would say one of the ones that always sticks out to me is this guy. He told me, whenever somebody shows you who they are, you should believe them. Like, don't try to make excuses for yourself like, oh, maybe this, maybe that. No, like, this person showed you who they were, then just believe them and then move forward from that,
Yeah. I would say one of the ones that I would say is the most important is getting to know God because he's changed my life so much, and it's only 1 year in.
Yeah.
And it's insane. But I would say, they've said it in the last couple of meetings. If you're lazy, I don't want to talk to you. People are thinking that's rude in those meetings.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're the problem. You're the problem.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's not me being too cool for school. It's me. I shouldn't be in 4th grade. I should be in 9th grade. You know what I'm saying? I'm too good for here. Not because I'm Billy bad to the bone. I'm too sophisticated for that. And it's like, I'm not going to bring down my IQ level just to suffice y'all. It's just like at my shop, am I going to lower my prices to compete with Joe Schmo, who doesn't compete with anything about me? He doesn't compete in customer service, doesn't compete with warranties, doesn't compete with anything else? No. You want Joe Schmo's prices? You get Joe Schmo's credit. I'm not going to lower my prices to solidify your ignorance. That to me, that's ignorance. Like, why would you think that I should lower my product? Because for what? You don't get Jordans from Finish Line at a discount.
Yeah, that's true.
So why are you asking me for a discount? I'm the owner. I'm telling you, this is who I am. If you got a problem, here's my cell phone number. Call me anytime.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I would say birds of a feather flock together is a big one. You want to be a millionaire, you hang around 5 of them, you'll be number 6. Keep those around you who truly believe in you. I've got 2 of my best friends that aren't millionaires.
Yeah.
And I don't think we'll ever be millionaires. Not that I don't believe in them. They just don't care to be successful in that aspect.
Yeah.
But I will, and I know I will.
If you hang around with 6 people that are man of God, you'll be the 7th.
Exactly. So, and it literally goes to show just like that. Birds of a feather flock together.
And that's actually the best advice somebody has given me. I was drawing a blank because you flipped it back on me.
Yeah.
Anything you want to say to the people before we go?
No, man, just give it to God.
Give it to God, man. And I appreciate everybody tuning in. It's another episode of Why If Dizzy TV. And we'll see you next time. Peace.